what we do for kids, and if you're not putting it in the effort to make those kids better and help those kids and like make it a really good experience for them, it's probably not the right fit.
If you're not making an effort to build a TikTok for kids to have a good time, you're a terrible club director. I completely agree with you, bro.
That's the headline of this podcast.
This is the little studio I scored. I went on Airbnb and like found a place. I just messaged everyone in Poland and was like, $1,000 a month. That's the budget. $1,000 a month. And I'm like on a lake in this beautiful spot with this huge 3-story house. Like, it's insane. I scored.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I worked.
Nice
What is that?
Naked body. You have nice naked body statues behind you too. This is just some inspiring stuff back there.
Yeah, and they're like, they got questions. That's why I think it works so well. They're just like tilted like this. You can't really tell, but they're
kind of.
This is why this is the question room. Dude. We're here to question things. All right, what's up? Welcome to Tallest Podcast on Earth. I'm here with Matt Houlihan, club director of the world's greatest and most well-known club, Bay Volleyball. Dude, thank you for coming,
That's
Matt.
high praise. That's high praise.
Dude,
high praise
I mean, I'm so stoked to get to speak with you because I have like so many thoughts. There's like such a big disconnect between like professional and club, and like I want to talk about all of it. I want to learn from you about what's going on in the club world. First of all, I see some trophies behind you, dude. What are those trophies?
Yeah, we got some trophies. These are from this year. Give a little tilt to the camera.
Oh yeah.
Those are from AAU this year, and then the USA volleyball ones are all over there by the water heater. My wife Ariel when we first moved into this house, we set up all the stuff in our garage. It's kind of like, this is our office, is the garage. We converted it. I put all the trophies up there, and this is where I have all my Zoom meetings. And Ariel comes in, she's like, "You look like an asshole. You need to move those trophies." So we moved them all over to the water heater, but hats off to all of the coaches and kids at Bay. They've now filled the area of the water heater, and this is the only spot left. So, and the AAU trophies are like just ridiculously big for no reason at all. So they take up a ton of space. So that's our summer haul from this year. So there's I think 7 teams that medaled. We had one team win it all, and 3 teams make the national championship. And then a number of third places. So it was a pretty good summer.
Dude, a powerhouse. And I got the first thought that comes to mind is like, what's it like being the world's youngest club director, dude?
I don't know if we're the youngest anymore. When we first started, we took over when we were 21.
Let's go. The boy could barely have his first drink, and he's already running the lives of many children, dude.
Yeah, we were pretending to be older. Like I was dressing up in a polo shirt, and everything it was all business. It was like we were making it as elder as possible in the way we did things. But I mean, yeah, being young in a world that's predominantly a pretty older position in terms of club directors was super interesting, because I think the naivete of what we had going on really played to our advantage. Of like, the things we definitely didn't know. And we just wanted to try and be really good at some stuff that wasn't really focused on. Like, we had this vision of like, what if we were still playing, like you and I both played at Bay. And so we have a Bay experience of our own. And thinking about what we wish we could have had was the stuff that we first, we started to try and stack on to what we offered. And so I mean, social media was like the easiest, lowest hanging fruit that we jumped on. Was like, we need to be like hyping these kids up and getting photos and videos of them going on, on Instagram and TikTok and all these different things. And so that was one, and actually kind of played to our advantage. It's surprising how little social media was happening on, in club volleyball 10 years ago when we took over. Obviously much more commonplace now. And then, we added different programs. Like we used to practice only on Saturdays and Sundays as kids. And it's great for, our area where we get a bunch of kids that drive from all over the place. So you don't have to worry about the Bay Area traffic, and you get your 2-team practice, but not a ton of time, right? You don't get a ton of reps to really develop. So then we added skills practices. So during the week, we have a pin hitters practice that's just specifically focusing on that position, and a setters practice, and a middles practice, and a liberos practice. And we just slowly added those positions throughout the years, and just got like an extra day for each kid in the club to get to train. And, kids come to multiple different things that just, you get a kid like young Taylor Averill walking in the gym, and, you immediately stick him in the middle because he's tall. And then you start to flip them around to different spots and say, hey, come to setters practice today, or, come to pin hitters practice. And you get to kind of let those guys develop in different ways. And it's just a good offering. And it's a good way to get kids.
Dude, it's huge. And that's, there's just so many things, not even just because Beta Bay has a special place in my heart because I played there and we both did, but it's just so clear that you guys, I think you have such a beautiful balance of making volleyball fun again, and also giving these kids opportunities, like you said, to train different positions, to play more often. I mean, didn't you guys started also like a grass tournament or like a little grass league or something?
Yeah. So a number of the other things that we like added on was, so we have a beach club. That was like the first outdoor one that we added, which has been huge. And one of our good friends that's, another UH alum, Alex Jones, who played with you, started our beach club. And so he runs that every Sunday morning for 3 hours, 8 to 11 a.m. And just, it started with like 40 kids, and then went to 60, and then it went to 80. And then we added additional sessions. And now we have, throughout the year, like 160 kids playing beach, right? Just like one of the best cross training tools you could possibly do, where same thing, like whatever position you play indoors doesn't matter on the beach, because whatever you suck at, they're going to attack. If you're a bad passer, they serve you. If you're a bad setter, they serve your partner, right? Like whatever it is that's your weakness, it just gets polished out by your opponents throughout the day. And so that's one of the other ones we added during COVID, when, the Bay Area was really strict, and, we don't own a facility. We use just a number of different gyms. The first thing that schools stopped doing was outside rentals, so we used local colleges, high schools, community centers, all that shut down. And so we were kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, and we got really lucky. One of our coaches is the VP of marketing at the local minor league baseball club. And so during COVID, they were shut down as well. And once things like finally started opening up a little bit to just outdoor sports, we run a grass volleyball tournament in the area. So we had 30 grass nets. And so one of the first we did is we handed out grass nets to kids. So during full shutdown, they came and picked up grass nets from our house. Like we left it on our patio. A kid would say, hey, I'm coming. They'd come pick it up, and they got to set it up in their backyard and just play during COVID. And then once it reopened up, we took them all back and set up a grass club at this local baseball stadium in the outfield. And it was just a super fun experience to get those kids back out there, like first time out of basically quarantine for a lot of kids. And they got to do it in a really cool setting with like the stadium speakers blaring, and got all the banners and different things flying around. It was a really fun environment. And it just kind of stuck since COVID, because it was a really fun experience to be able to do, we do triples, and we do a fours tournament. We did a 6-man tournament. You do a bunch of different stuff that's you get to do on the grass that you don't get to really have indoors. And so it's just a fun environment. So we have, grass club that goes on at the same time. And so it's just another program that we get to kind of add in that gets kids playing and introduces into the sport in a more fun, unique way than just coming onto the court and going through a clinic. And there's just different ways to play the game, and we get to kind of showcase all those aspects. So it's been a fun one.
Yeah. And you talked also about like all the social media stuff you guys are doing, when I think of Beta Bay, honestly, I just think of like the young blood, dude, just coming in, being innovative. Like, let's talk about Drop Dimes for a second. Like, you guys started this company, and I'd love to hear a little of the story of how that got started, if you don't mind telling me. Also, anything I ask and you're just like not a fan of it, you just let Daddy know. We don't have to talk about it,
okay? Don't worry, Daddy. I'm a fan.
But dude, I love how finally I got to come back home, and I don't get to come home often, and ran a clinic with you guys, and like it was so cool to come back home and just gave me like so many feelings of nostalgia and just like so
Yeah.
excited to be back. But like I come back and you're like, we're talking about making shorts and you're like, yeah, here's what we're working on right now. And then there's like NFT on the pocket. It's like, dude, that stuff is way past me. I guarantee you no other club in the world is doing that. But like, that's what I think is so cool. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about where like you and Ariel, to me, like you just add this like fun, innovative space in the volleyball community, club community specifically, that I just think is like missing a little bit. You know, like there's so many kids who are like, I just want to get better. Their parents just want to put them somewhere where they can get better. And it's like, I think you're such a great representation of the balance between we're going to create skillful players on and off the court, and we're also going to have a blast. So like, how do you manage all of that?
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's very kind, Tyler. I mean, I think I got to credit my wife, Ariel, for a lot of that. Like the biggest thing that Ariel always pushes in any of our like initial coaches meetings, like we will always hire a coach that's like just a good person over a volleyball knowledgeable person. We'll take someone who has no idea about volleyball as long as they're a good person and they understand like this is about an experience. Because our goal is not like if all we're trying to do is just win and train kids to be, beast at volleyball, then we're definitely missing a piece of the puzzle. So during coaches meetings, like one of the first things Ariel says is your goal as a coach is to get the parents on your team or the parents in the gym around you to pull out their phone, right? To pull out their phone and start recording. Because you can kind of just imagine those moments of like, you're a parent and you're like, oh my God, I gotta take a video of this. I gotta record what's happening right now. It's just so like my son is doing this and it's awesome. And I've never seen him act like this before, whatever it may be. Right. So stuff like, just simple things like going and cheering for other teams in the club and like just getting rowdy and filming it and then putting it up on a social media post. Doing whatever silly TikTok trends pop up, letting our kids just have fun with that during practice and taking some time to like go over and play different games or whatever it may be. And just, trying to instill a sense of it not just being like all about the winning, kind of creates a cool culture and it creates a cool thing that kids get to be a part of. And I think that's a big piece of where our success has been. Because, you think about how clubs succeed, it's getting kids engaged and loving the sport. When they love the sport, they want to play more. And when they play more, they get better. And if you do that in a way that's like natural and they're enjoying it and it's, it's coming from them and it's not this forced thing from their parents or this like forced thing from the club, you get a lot of magic. And so I think we've been lucky in the sense that we've gotten a lot of kids in pretty young that are enjoying it and they keep playing, they stick together with that group. Right. And good teams can attest to that. The more you get to like really form that connective tissue, the better you get down the road. And so having that ability and seeing that kind of grow up, like the team I'm coaching now at 18s was the team that when we first took over literally 10 years ago, we had two of these kids that are on this team now were 8-year-olds and they walked in the gym. Wow. And they've been in the club since, and they've been just these little studs for a number of years, and of course added pieces as we went. But it's just, for us, we're really lucky because what more fun of a job could you possibly have? Like I have no desire to be a college coach. I have no desire to be anything else than what we get to do right now. Cause it's just a blank canvas that you just get to go mess around with. Like I've got whiteboards all over here that are just like ideas and we just throw stuff out. And it's like, let's try and do this year, right? Like we want to do a 6-man tournament. Great. Let's do it. Let's try and do that. Or, hey, we want to make this and it sucks. Okay, crush it. No more. We tried it. Didn't work. All right. All good. Move to the next thing. And you just you get to play around with stuff.
What are you working on right now? You got anything brewing? Are you allowed to give us a little secrets on what we got thinking, what we planning?
Yeah, let's look at the whiteboard. I'll look at the whiteboard and give you
what do you think is one of your ideas like that was like, I don't know if this is gonna work, and it ended up just being like killer, or the opposite way? I don't know.
I think so. The grass tournament that we run, there's like on the East Coast, grass tournaments are huge, right? There's so many huge grass tournaments that are just these spectacles, right? These awesome events that are like, it's like part music festival, part volleyball, and like food, beer, whatever it may be. Like those have been really cool. And so we started that 4.5, 5 years ago now. we started doing that tournament. And the first year it was like, it was small and it wasn't super cool. But it was different. No one had really played grass volleyball out in the Bay Area, specifically at the younger kids level. Like adults will do it in the adult rec sense, but not a ton of anything for kids. And so slowly but surely that's kind of started to become just such a staple thing that we were like, I don't know if this is actually going to work. It was a lot of effort. We bought 30 nets and we needed like 10 the first year, but during COVID, side note, worked out great having those nets. But yeah, it's just that just kept growing. And then we were just iterating. We did it in Morgan Hill at a soccer complex. It's huge, right? Like if we wanted to expand it to Morgan Hill, we could put like 200 nets up and it would be this massive thing. So maybe down the road, but then we found the right venue and we do it at the ballpark now. And so the ballpark serves beer and wine and it's got music going through the speakers and you've got a PA announcer and we have security and we've got all the bathrooms built in. You get this whole, like perfect kind of storm together. And it made this event into just something that's so much fun now. Like it is literally my favorite thing to do each year is running that event. Cause it's like my volleyball community party, right? That we just get to put on and like our kids get to come to it and run around in the outfield and do all this different stuff. And that one was one that we're like, oh, don't know if this is going to work out. And actually has ended up being something super cool. But the most recent one to harken back to your question of what's going on now, we just we're sponsoring the local pro team in our league now or in our area.
Yeah, dude.
So
wait,
we rebranded
first of
them.
Talk to me about that. I didn't even know that we had a pro team in the Bay Area.
So yeah, right now. So it's the VLA, right? There's kind of two competing like men's pro leagues in USA right now. You got NVA and you got VLA, and so this is a VLA club. And it's a lot of it's a lot of the former Division I players that are in the area, right? So you got guys who are working tech jobs, you got guys that are coaching, different stuff like that. And it's all those guys together. And there's little pockets throughout the country that have these teams, right? So like Lloyd Ball's got a team Pineapple, you've got Team LVC out on the East Coast, you've got Rising Tide in Southern California, and so there's a number of teams that have popped up and formed.
What's our mascot?
And they kind of play our mascot.
I mean, like what are we? The team.
It's the Bunnies. It's the Bunnies. The team is Bay Area Dimes, but the mascot is
the Bay Area Bunnies.
No, the mascot is Bunnies.
Bay Area Bunnies is kind of sick though.
Yeah, but that's the mascot.
That's the mascot. Yeah. That's cool. I was supposed to wear that one day and that never worked out, so I can't wait to see it in real life.
Yeah, no, the bunny, we have the bunny costume, right? So another like that was Ariel's thing last year, which you're well aware of. Ariel was trying to get, for those listening to this, my wife tried to get Taylor to come wear a bunny costume at a boys youth volleyball tournament. And run around and make a fool of himself.
And not to harp on Ariel, but she didn't push hard enough, dude. I was ready, like I was real ready. I was warming up. I was waiting for that call, dude, and just never got it. It's fine, dude.
She got the large bunny costume too, so that it would fit you, like a human of your size.
It's gonna happen.
She just wants someone. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She just wants the spectacle, right? Sick. Like again, take out the camera. The bunny is coming around. Like we got to take a video with the bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bay Area Dimes is the team. We rebranded it to that. So it's bad volleyball, BAD. Just so many
love
things
that.
we could work
on. Oh my God, I already love that. Yes.
Yeah. So the merch is gonna be killer.
Flying off the shelves.
Yeah. So we basically sponsor that team. So kind of pay for their entry fees and travel and do all that stuff. And the big thing is just number one, it's like so many of our coaches do it. And so it's supporting our coaches. And, there's obviously like a business side of it as well that we're trying to bring people in. And so having, for the club side of stuff, like coaches is our number one thing. Like that is the product essentially is your coaches. And so trying to get the best people in, and people with great volleyball knowledge are always hard to find. And so being able to bring people in that like want to play and want to be a part of something. And then like also having the ability to, hey, are you interested in coaching too is cool. That's not the number one thing, but hopefully a secondary benefit. And then having them be able to play against our older teams too. Like our 18s team gets to scrimmage them. And it's really cool. And having them practice in our gym, and our little kids like look up and see some former D1 guys going doing some really cool things is just a cool thing for them to be able to kind of have going on the court right next to them.
Dude,
as well.
Really quick, you mentioned that like finding good coaches is hard to find. Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
why do you think that's the case?
I mean,
And we're not talking about
you think
people,
about
good people. I'm sure there's plenty of
yeah.
good people, but just from a skill perspective,
I mean,
understanding
yeah,
the game.
coaching, like anything, is a skill, and just because we've had many great players that aren't great coaches. Some of our best coaches are guys who are just great communicators. Being able to manage, like, you're dealing with 12 kids, and on top of that, you've got 24 parents, right? And so this is youth sports, and so you have to kind of balance all of these stakeholders, and being a coach, and providing a really good, like, club volleyball experience. Like, we as directors try and take much as possible in terms of communication and logistics and all that stuff off of the coach's plate, so that they just have to coach and build relationships with the players on their teams. But it's always going to be, there's always a mixed bag, and it's kind of the same thing, right? You bring people in, and we try and onboard them and tell them, like, this is how we do things, and go through that whole process. But you know there's always different leveling there's different levels of how bought in people are. And the good thing is being able to go through that and, like, pretty quickly realize, I made a mistake on this coach, like, being able to cut it loose. For the most part, we have not had that happen really at all. I think we've fired one coach in our entire time of being director. But there are definitely coaches that, like, my priorities are shifting. I've got this sales job, and it's taking up a lot of my time, and I don't think I'm really cut out for it right now. Okay, all good, no worries. We can cut that loose. We want people who, really want to be there, and really enjoy that aspect. So much of, like, being in the Bay Area, being in the Silicon Valley, we've got so many people who, they're working these big tech jobs, and they've got some high pressure sales. There's a lot of high pressure sales that our coaches go through, and so there's a balance that goes into it. But the people who are here, we've got a really, really good group, because I think the coaches love being around each other. It's a really fun group, and we get to go. There's definitely the social aspect of coaching as well. Like, after the tournament yesterday, we just played in a tournament up in San Mateo. Tournament ends, head over to the brewery for a beer, just to recap and hang out with everyone, and then head home, right? Like, just being able to do some stuff like that on the weekend is a fun one, and it's kind of some instant community for guys. So when we have volleyball people move into the area, we get a lot of guys that will reach out. They want to come play, or they'll hop on and they want to be kind of a guest coach, and bounce around and be available and kind of give back to the sport. But you always have to kind of make sure that, yes, while there's the social aspect in that community, that there's also the understanding, like, what we do for kids, and if you're not like putting it in the effort to make those kids better and help those kids and, like, make it a really good experience for them, then, like, we're not really aligned, and it's probably not the right fit. That happens sometimes.
If you're not making an effort to build a TikTok for kids to have a good time, you're a terrible club director. I completely agree with you, bro. I completely agree.
Yeah. That's the headline of this podcast.
No, but I'm curious too. Like, you mentioned a couple of good things, but like, so to you, based on your experience, like, what makes a good coach? Like, say there's some kid from a different club, or like a guy who wants to get into coaching, like, what advice would you give him from what you've seen, that, like, you think is a good formula for being a successful coach?
Yeah, a couple pillars. Number one would be communicator, right? Of, like, they're just really good at being able to elaborate on their thoughts and demonstrate what they want to happen, right? Both, like, X and O's, but also just, like, life, of being able to, hey, pull a kid aside and notice, like, Taylor, what's going on, man? How you doing today? Like, you look down, or just, what's going on? You're struggling a little bit. How can I help you? Right. Being able to give feedback in a proper way, like communicating. Number one, if you can be a great communicator, that's a huge, huge piece of the puzzle for coaching. Number two, being organized, being able to plan a practice, being able to kind of overview a tournament and, like, try and figure out how you're going to get all of your guys a good amount of playing time, and make sure every kid feels like they've got, like, a really good role.
Yeah,
right.
sure.
So, being able to take some time and actually, put pen to paper and have a thought process behind what you're doing will take you a long way. Right. If you can go through a tournament on a full day and take like 10 minutes once the tournament's done and just take down some notes of like, wow, we were really bad at off blocker defense today. Out of system attacking was a struggle. We did a great job at, float serving, but jump serving was tough, whatever it may be. Like there's your practices for the next 3 weeks, and you can just plan around that stuff. But there's a lot of coaches that don't do that. Right. And so you kind of just, those teams don't take this, ladder step up throughout the season. Teams where a coach isn't having a thoughtful mindset behind the way they approach practice, they kind of just, they teeter around, and maybe they make a jump because the coach had a good practice or a couple 2 in a row, and then they drop back down because they didn't have a thought process behind it. Right. So organization and being able to kind of put actual thought process into your plan would be the second one. And then, I think the third one that again kind of goes back to what I would say for Ariel is the ability to kind of build something beyond just the volleyball, right? I would chalk up like X's and O's into your system and your organization. So put that in the second pillar. But like the third one is kind of that, like those intangibles of being able to like, hey, we're gonna make it fun today. We're gonna do a team bonding day today. We're gonna go take 30 minutes before practice, and we're gonna watch some film. We're just gonna watch us play, or we're gonna watch Taylor play, or we're gonna watch Dustin play in Poland. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, whatever it may be. We're gonna go watch a Stanford men's volleyball game this weekend as a team. Being able to kind of go a little bit above and beyond and make it a cool experience. Or hey, we're gonna have a team dress up day. Saturdays is tank top Saturday, and best tank top gets a Slurpee from me at the next practice. Those types of things.
Maybe they still making Slurpees.
Heck yeah, come on, post practice Slurpee, 7-Eleven run. That's like
they probably got crazy flavors. Yeah.
Yeah. The question of the week this week at setters practice was, and I'm gonna ask it you, would be, all right, post practice, you just finished up, hard day in the gym. This is kid Taylor, not like peak performance, I'm eating healthy, I'm being my best me, Taylor. This is like 17-year-old Brandon.
So actual Taylor, got it.
Yeah, actual Taylor. Post practice, you're hitting up 7-Eleven. What 3 items are you getting? No budget.
Dude, honestly, even when I was a kid, I was like protein bar guy. Even to this day, I'm the same way. Like just go in there for some like tasty little protein bar, or like a muscle milk or something. Probably back then. Like I wasn't big time like dirty snacks guy, honestly. But I will tell you this, dude. Ooh, you just brought me back, dude. Actually, where I would go first is taquitos, baby.
Taquito, okay.
Taquitos, dude. I freaking loved the taquitos they had. They had
they're just rolling. They're like rolling on that little.
Yeah, they're just. They've been there for days, dude. Just cruising around on that little rotisserie. That's where I would go. So to me, that's exactly what I would get. Get a protein, get that. 17-year-old Taylor might have gotten the
drink.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, probably like an Arizona iced tea.
Yeah.
Big
one, like
baby.
lemon, raspberry, or would you go?
Yeah, lemon was exactly lemon.
Just a classic,
Yeah, always been like pretty classic lemon guy. Sometimes that there was like a peach something too that was really good.
Ooh, yeah, peach was good.
Those were the two. Those
that
are
was Ariel's as well. You and Ariel you'd be friends. She was on the Arizona iced tea.
I came over to your garage actually this last summer. What did you guys have in the fridge? LaCroix, that's what it was. Crushing LaCroix.
Pamplemousse. Yeah, pamplemousses.
It's unbelievable how big they've gotten. Like it's unbelievable. Like what even is natural flavors, bro? I think we talked about this. Like I don't even to this day understand if it's like I can imagine it's like a little dropper and they just drop like a scent into it or something, like a liquid scent.
I feel like they just take sparkling water and then they like dip a like piece of grapefruit in it for like half a second. They pull it out and like that's it. That's LaCroix's secret formula.
And that would be an honest representation of natural flavor, dude. So we could only hope that's how they're doing it. Dude, I had a thought when you were talking earlier about like communicating with players, and in fact, been working one-on-one, doing some one-on-one mentorship. And in fact, I work with one of your kids, and he's not the example, but there's another kid I work with where sometimes I feel like I don't know if he is loving what I'm saying, if he is like lost with what I'm saying. And so it's not all the time, but sometimes I think, and this is even for like kids that send me DMs and I respond to or whatever, just like kids I communicate with about like the middle blocker academy I'm building, like
Yeah.
all these different things. Dude, sometimes I don't know if they're loving, because in my heart, I'm just like, I am the absolute resource for you, bro. Like, especially as a middle
Yeah.
blocker, I'm like, you have access to me 24/7 throughout the week. Like, I would be, if I were you, I'd be sending me questions like every day. And I'm like, dude, you had a rough day at practice. Send me a voice message. I'll send you something back. Like, let's talk. And sometimes they don't say anything. And I'm just like, I don't understand what's going on here. So
Yeah.
my point is like, how do you, like, what feedback do you get from them? Because, for example, like, when I was 17-year-old Taylor at Beta Bay, I was very much like, you knew exactly when you just looked at me, you knew if I was having a good time or not.
On the
And
sleeves,
so
on the sleeves. Yeah.
exactly. And not every kid is like that. So especially when you have to manage like all these different personalities and like they're still figuring out who they are, and like, how do you know if they're having a good time or if they're just like upset, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll see them and
No,
they'll look upset, and I'm like, but then I'll ask him and he's like, no, this is really interesting. I'm like, really? Because it doesn't look like I can tell that it's interesting to you, you know? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I mean, so I mean, when I can only compare like coaching over Zoom to what we did during COVID, and it's tough. Like, it's tough to tell, specifically like when you have multiple people and you're doing one-on-one stuff. So it's got to be a little bit easier, but just, it's hard to tell over Zoom with these guys. Like, and you also got to think about where these kids have been at. Like, some of these kids did 2 years of online school, and they're like so zoomed out that it's just hard to tell that even if they are like really engaged. In person, I think it's a little bit easier to kind of pick up some context cues of like where kids are at, of like body language. Are they leaning forward? Are they into it? Are they not in their head? But there's just some kids that, personality wise, are just gonna be like quieter. And I don't know, like, is this kid, just to ask a little follow-up, how often has this kid been talking to you?
No. So I've been working with this kid for the past like 4 months, and he's actually not.
Okay.
Bringing up the kids that I work with isn't even the best example, because to your point, like, I see them every week, and because I'm like the way I am, I'll ask them, I'm like, hey, what do you want today? Like, hey, what do you like? Do you like watching footage of pros? Do you like breaking this down? Do you like watching your footage? Like, so I luckily kind of fill that gap a little bit, because I'm okay. I want them to feel vulnerable with me. I'm not their parent. I'm not their coach. I'm like someone who wants to see them succeed. I'm their boy. And that's how I try to, that's how I try to, exactly. I think, a better example would be, I just did because I also do like one-on-one with teams. So for example, I just did this D2 program. And so, they're asking me questions, and people know a little bit of my story, like from Beta Bay to like getting kicked off of 2 NCAA teams, and like a little bit of like the struggles that I went through to get where I'm at now. And so I'm like, and I don't want to be this like super inspirational guy, and like, but my story's cool, dude. Like, I feel so blessed to be where I'm at. And like, so I'm like giving them the rundown a little bit, and like, I get super passionate and worked up about things, whatever. And then the hour goes by, I answer some questions. It was like, tell my story, interact with them, and then do a little Q&A. And sometimes it's like, not a lot of kids have questions, and I'm just like, what? Yeah. Like, what? You're not curious about any of this, dude? I'm like, I'm playing on the national. I'm in the best league in the world right now, and I'm playing great. Like, you don't have any questions for me? Or then like, I'm giving my story or whatever, and I say things, and because you can't get all 12 kids, or a team, let's say 20 kids, feedback at one time. I'm just looking around, especially on Zoom, to your point. I'm like, I don't know if you guys are just like, oh, this kid thinks he's like, okay, cool, used to do drugs. Like, I don't know what they're thinking. And so this is like actually like a personal question. I'm like, how do I get better in touch with, and maybe the attitude I've been trying to have is like, you're not going to please everyone. So let's say you want to take your kids to go see a Stanford volleyball game. Maybe there's 2 or 3 that are like, dude, I don't want to do that. I want to go like play with my friends or do something different. Like, you can't please everyone. And I can imagine that's so hard, because like, and I know you're very similar. Like, to me, you're just such a likable dude. Like, I love you, dude. You're just such a good guy. And so I could imagine, like, you want to please them. You want all 12 kids to be like, I'm so stoked. What a great idea. We're going to Raging Waters, and we're going to go do water slides. Like, I'd be stoked on that, But like, I personally have this weird complex of like, I want everyone to have a good time. I want to give you exactly what you need to help you succeed and to have a good time along the way. So like, how do you How do you handle that, dude?
My goodness, man, you are going back to like year 1 and year 2 of being a club director. Like that was me. Like I am Mr. People pleaser. Like I just wanted everyone to be happy. The same, it's like the same thing. I just want everyone to be happy. Like you're having a bad day. Like, what can I do to help you? Like, I'll bet over, like, you want to do that? Great. Let's do that. And it just like, in terms of running a business, it's a horrible strategy. It's like the worst strategy ever. You're like, you will please no one when you do that. And there's just going to be people that aren't a fan, right? Like, and you're active on social media. We're active on social media. Like the amount of hate that we get on social media is like, oh, all right.
Bro, who's hating on you?
There's a lot of negativity out here. I see that.
Yeah.
And like, we just have like throughout the years, and I struggled so hard with it at the beginning. I've just had to consciously kind of make the decision of like, hey, I know I'm not going to please everyone here with this decision, or, like cutting, if you're making choices of like players on teams, like that was the one that was really hard for me.
I can imagine.
I make it about me because I'm the main character in my story. So forget
Absolutely.
you, Taylor. This is about
I feel
me
that.
now.
Well, it actually is,
but so yeah, it's like cutting players at the beginning. It's like I didn't want to cut anyone. It's like, oh, he's been on this team for 3 years, but he'd really be better for him to play on the twos team now. And this kid's pretty good. I want to take him on the team, but I don't want to make him sad. And like in the reality, it's just like you got to make your decisions and go with it. Like, and you're so passionate about what you do and what you speak about. And like, I've gotten to see that just from our individual conversations behind the scenes, and then just also on social media. Like, it's awesome. Like the passion that you show helps so many kids, and it's going to piss off some kids too. They're like, forget this guy. I don't like this guy. This guy's a jerk, whatever it may be. But those are the kids sometimes where like we've started to respond to like negative comments, just be like, hey man, I hope you're having a good day. Like, sorry. Like, just try and give them some.
You respond with live videos of you in a bunny suit asking them if they've had a good day.
Yeah, we'll just respond with positivity. It's like, hey man, I'm just gonna give you love. Like if you feel the need to like comment negatively on this video of like a kid going up in slow motion and hitting a serve, like, I'm sorry. But there's obviously something else going on. So we've just started to respond with like, hey, we're gonna be us, and we're really passionate about our guys and our club, and trying to make it a great experience for them, and we'll respond to those and just say, hey, it's all good. I hope you're having a good day. Like, love you, man. Send a little heart, And
like, I think I can imagine that's also a product of like, that's what you get when you put yourself out there to the world and you're trying to do something good. Like, not everyone's going to be on the same page as you.
Yeah.
So I'm sure now that you're a little more tenured, you've gotten a lot better at just like letting that stuff go. And
for sure.
I was thinking too, I was like, how do you handle parents, dude? How do you do it? Because I won't name any names, okay? But when I was a kid at Beta Bay, there were a couple parents on my team that were nightmares, dude. Like nightmares. I couldn't believe it. My mom tells me stories to this day of like this mom or this dad, or like, and we won't name names as much as I want to because I think there's so many good stories. But
this is post podcast talk for me.
Yeah, for sure. But like, I can imagine that exists across all planes of all levels, and like, you got to deal with parents. Yeah. Like, how do you manage parents? Like, what are the common like complaints you get from parents, or like you just have a mom or a dad who's like way too involved, or like, how do you navigate some of that?
Yeah, and it's all, I mean, again, there's so many personalities, and there's so many different ways of, there's different upbringings that people go through, and you've got families that are great and fantastic, and you've got divorced families that are struggling, and you've got families that are sick, and that you've got a parent who has a very terrible illness. You have deaths, right? You've got families that are going through some serious pain and trauma, and we've had multiple instances where it's just like there's a behavior that's like, oh, that's unacceptable, or someone's acting completely irrationally, and Ariel or I will go up and have a conversation with them, and very quickly you realize like there's something else going on, right? An example is we had a parent that did something that was like, got very angry and was like in a parking line and yelled at someone, yelled at the person who was trying to help with parking, and we're like, what? No, like, that was a Beta Bay parent. All right, we got to go talk to this person. and talk to them. And then you find out like the mom passed away like a month ago. It's like, oh, okay. Still not okay, but like, yes, we understand what's going on. So just try and understand where people are coming from. And I think the biggest thing for us to like come back to like the big picture of just dealing with parents is it's just about just the same thing as with kids. It's setting expectations. Like you get what you tolerate as a coach, right? If you tolerate your team being lazy, they're going to be late in practice. They're going to be lazy in a game, right? If you tolerate parents being crazy at a game, they're going to keep being crazy. They're going to yell at refs. They're going to do this. And like, we just try and set the standard early in terms of our communication. We do a big group meeting. We do individual meetings, and we have kind of a script that coaches have to go through and kind of hit the nail on of being able
teacher conference, baby.
Yeah. Essentially a conference at the beginning, like this is the rules.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to do things. This is how we at Beta Bay are going to act. And that's for parents and players and coaches. And I think ever since we've really we put in that script and we kind of like standardized it across all teams, so many headaches have gone away. And we've got 19 teams this year. When we first started with 10 teams,
wow.
We didn't have any of this. We had so many more headaches because it was like people didn't know what the standard was. And so they just did whatever they wanted, right? They were just going, we had people yelling at refs. We had people coming up to coaches during tournaments being like, my son needs to play more. You got all of this, right? And there's never going to be a perfect season where you don't have some issues that pop up, but being able to kind of let people know what we expect and then being able to bring it back to that when we have those conversations of like, hey, we have a coach come up and say, hey, we just had this parent just came up to me and is upset and wanted to talk about playing time. And our rules, hey, 48 hours after a tournament, that's when you can talk about playing time. That's like the most common one. And for the most part, probably 95% of the time, people adhere to that, and we'll follow the right channels and say, hey, we'd like to talk. Hey, little Taylor didn't play much this past weekend, and we'd like to know what he can do to get better or why he's not playing. And
what's your answer, Matt?
What's my answer? Why
my mom calls you. Yeah. Why aren't I playing?
Because when you were in high school, you had credit card hops and you didn't move like you do now. You were kind of a little baby fat kid,
Okay, don't be rude. Now you're being rude. No, I'm kidding. But I am curious. Like, yeah, how do you? I could imagine that's tough for a coach and for a club director, where it's like, well, let's take the middle position for example. It's like, well, these two middles are like clearly starters, and if you're a coach, like, how do you manage when to? Now, I'll be honest, because Beta Bay is just such a powerhouse. I know you guys are slaughtering other teams, so I'm sure it's a little easier for you because I can imagine when you're just like destroying a team, like that's your time to put in guys who don't normally get playing time. But how do you manage that? Because you talked about like, yeah, it's where you do want to make it fun. You do have to manage a way for everyone to touch the ball or to more than that know what their role is. But at the end of the day, too, it's like you're playing against, like let's say the most boring club in volleyball, Balboa Bay, let's say, for example, like let's say you're playing against their 18-1s and you're, like I can imagine you want to win. So you're going to put the guys in who you think right now are going to help you win. So how do you manage, like, when is the time to put in a kid who it's like, even if the parents are being like, why isn't he playing? But it's like, come on, we know why he's not a starter, but he does need to learn what his role is. Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah, it's so for us, what we tell our coaches is like our end goal. We train with an end goal in mind of just we're trying to win one tournament and one tournament only, right? We're just trying to win the last one. National championship is the only thing that we are training for, and every tournament around that, like anything regional, is practice. And so our goal is like, hey, we're gonna give guys some opportunities. That is the goal. We want to give our guys opportunities to play in those moments, specifically early on, right? There's probably 2 tournaments ahead of nationals where we want to test like what we think, like our hypothesis of like, this is my group. This is what I think is the group that's gonna be the starters at that tournament. That's gonna be like the one we're trying to win, and you want to test it. So you get a Balboa Bay matchup. Say we go to Chicago, which this year will be our first event. That's like national, right? We've got the best teams from the East, Midwest, Southern California, Northern California. They all meet in Chicago. We play there. First round of gold. Let's say we're lucky enough to make it to the first round of gold, and we've got a matchup with Balboa Bay. Like we're gonna run our starters, right? We want to see what it looks like with that group then. But during pool play, when we're playing teams that are also, very good, but maybe a little bit more like hot and cold, maybe not as like high level and consistent as some of the top teams. We're going to give our guys a shot still, right? You have to, when we say we want every kid to feel like they have a role, it's not just the serving stuff. It's like, we want you to feel like you have a substantial role, right? So throughout the year, like, hey, you may be the second setter, but you need to be able to go in and win us this 1-3 matchup so that we can rest this guy and so that this guy can have an opportunity to do this or whatever it may be, right?
We
need to be able to step in.
I need to pause really quick because we need to make an homage to Alex Jones, who is the king of bringing the second setter to win the game. Alex Jones, dude, I hope you're listening to this. You are the man, and we love you for that. Alex Jones was like the classic. He knew his role. He was a bench guy. When it was his time, dude, he would be bring the ruckus, baby.
Yep. The consummate team guy. There is a great video. I think you should link it down below in this. If you post this on YouTube, link the YouTube video to Alex Jones being interviewed after beating CSUN at Hawaii. I think that was the match where he came in off the bench.
He had a couple he came in. Yeah. He had a couple like that year.
Yeah. But that one was special, right? Because Jones went to CSUN and got cut by CSUN and then went to Hawaii. And so easily, Alex Jones could have just bashed CSUN, right? Or just like gone in and like just soaked in that moment. And instead, he is just like so grateful to his coaches, both staffs, all my friends over at CSUN. It was just such a fun experience. I'm like, God, Jonesy, why are you so lovable? Just so lovable. You had your moment. You could have rubbed it in the coach's face. Nope, not at all.
Nah.
Coach cut me. Didn't matter. I proved him wrong. Didn't matter. Didn't say anything about it. Just, I loved the game. Game was so much fun, right? Like, just such a good
He's
guy.
the man.
So you got to link to that one. That one, I love that video. We share that one probably once a year on social media. We just break that one back out for Jonesy's birthday.
Sick. We will link it.
Yeah.
Just to like switch gears a little bit, I'm curious too. Why are referees so bad? Why are American referees so bad?
There's a referee crisis, Taylor. A total referee crisis, and reffing is a hard job. Don't get me wrong. But like, there's not enough of them now. Like, it's just such a hard job that no one wants to do it. Like, you don't get paid very well. People yell at you. Like, who's going to sign up for that environment? You know, like, it's not a fun thing to do. We've played 3 tournaments now in Northern California, and we have coaches up reffing almost every match. Like this past weekend, we actually had 3 refs. We had 3 refs that were up reffing the gold, the highest level matches, and they were great. All 3 of them did a very good job, and I'm sure they got yelled at some point throughout the day, like even still.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's tough.
Oh, like, dude, for sure.
So you look across the board. If you go to like a big tournament, take that Chicago tournament for example that's coming up. It's going to be a huge convention center style tournament. You'll have like 70 courts, and you look up at all of the R1 stands, like up on the R1 stand. If you just look across the gym, the average age is going to be 65 and up, right? Like,
exactly.
Like everyone is old. Like all of the referees are old. And so part of the problem is they have gone through every rule change possible, right? And like, can we expect the 73-year-old ref to be up to speed on what the Plus League is doing, on what, what's happening in the international level of volleyball? No, is the answer. Like it's not going to be uniform across the board. And so there's the fact that there's just so much disparity is what makes it hard. But I will tell you this, what's been interesting, without refs, the tournaments have gone really smooth because you have the coaches reffing, right? So the coach is up there, and the coach, our coaches don't want to do that, obviously. But when they do it, like things go smooth because the coach, can I cuss on this podcast, Taylor? Is this a safe space?
You're kidding, right? Anyway, before you swear, I'm going to tell you one thing. My mom, I don't know why my mom listens to these podcasts. I tell her not to because she gets to see the real me, and I'd rather her just have this beautiful angel version of me that I give her my whole entire life.
Yeah.
But she's like, Taylor, you swear too much on your podcast. So yes, you can say whatever you want because I want people to be themselves, and like I don't swear because I want to swear. I swear because sometimes that's how I was, dude. Not the most intellectual guy, but the point of that is I got an application that sends me a brand new word every 3 hours across the day. The last word of the day I had was dither. Pretty cool one. Dithering. Yeah. So sorry. Yes, you can swear.
Okay, great. My
And
swear
I'm sorry,
word.
Mom, that I swear too much. This has been very great so far. Matt's gonna break the barrier here and bring
Yeah,
us
he's
the
doing
first
great.
swear word.
Taylor's mom, I'm sorry. I will be the one. You can you can send me a message if you're mad at me. But the swear word I was going to use is our coaches, the coaches across the board just don't give a shit when
Yeah.
they're up there. Like they're just there to make the game go. They don't insert themselves. If it's horrible, like if it's a horrible set, they call it. If you hit the net, they call it. If you foot fault, they call it. Other than that, we're playing volleyball, right? And no one interferes, and it moves super fast because no one. Like, you get some coaches or you get some refs that like everyone knows that ref that just kind of like inserts themselves into the match for no reason, and like it's like stay off the sport court, scoot back, stop having fun.
Oh,
like,
it's the worst, dude.
Get out of here. That's if there's one rule that Ariel and myself could get rid of, that would be it. We want to make boys volleyball the Manhattan Beach 6-man. Like that's what we want it to be. We want kids on the court. We want energy. We want
kids building pyramids.
That's the environment we want, minus like the kegs in the sand, right? Like that's the environment we're trying to create. Right. So you got these coaches up there reffing, and things are going smooth because, like, if I'm up there on the ref stand and a coach starts to yell at me, I'm gonna be like, no, next point, let's go. I don't care, right? Like this is what I saw. We're going, like we're moving forward. And no one's inserting themselves into these games. Like, yeah, we're probably missing some out of rotations here or there, or whatever it may be. But like for the most part, it is what it is. And so it's been this really interesting situation of referees not being there and then being there, how different like the experiences have been for teams and coaches.
And also, yeah, I feel like I stated that question, like, why are refs so bad? And a lot of them are. And, but I do want to say that I feel for refs. It's the same, dude. I have the same feeling when I see coaches, like as someone who's played at like such a high level, it's like when I see a lot of coaches and have conversations with a handful of them, like there's a part of me that's just like, oh, you just have no idea. Like I'll see what like training videos certain coaches will put up and I'm just like, this is terrible. This kills me. And that's why I started being so, outspoken a little more on social media is like, well, what am I going to do? Am I just going to say, oh, the refs suck? Or no, I'm not going to be a ref, just to be clear. But like, well, I'm trying to help find a solution. That's what we're going to do here. But like, like, oh, this coach doesn't know what he's doing. It's like, no, now I can give resources to help educate them, and like, that's also what I love about you guys. And you say it all the time. It's like, I don't know everything. I'm not playing at the international level. I'm going to bring in the guys that are. And it's like, I wish that more clubs, more referees, more of the volleyball community did that. And so one of the things, I want to go two places. In fact, actually, let's go this way first. The first thing I think about is like censorship. You were like, basically you were like, I want to have all the fun douchiness of Manhattan Beach 6-man with none of the alcohol. And so like my thought process too is like, sometimes, and I don't know if you guys swear or like whatever, you just chill with it. You're cool. Like when I came to run a clinic with you guys, it's like, yeah, sometimes I swear, whatever. And I think that's just like, it hits hard especially with kids. Like, whoa. He's like, I swear sometimes with my friends. Like, oh my God, like, and to me, it's just like, I'm being me. Yes, I'm mom. I need to swear a little less, probably expand my vocabulary, no doubt. But my thought for you is like, how do you find the line between like appropriate and inappropriate when it comes to like posting stuff or the way you talk or the way other kids are? Like, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, that is a good one. So there have been a couple times where we've posted a video. Like we'll put like, we're not just posting highlights. Like when we make mistakes, we post it. And so I'll always be like, like the first time we posted like an air one, I kind of felt bad. I was like, ooh, I should have checked with that kid first before I like put his like absolute waffle missile that he fired 3 courts over on social media. And I like went up to him during the next practice, was like, I should have asked you, like, are you cool with these? Like, oh yeah, no, totally fine. It was funny. It's all good. Like in good faith. And then I was like, oh, okay, we're good. And I posted another one like 2 weeks later. Didn't ask the kid. Went up to the kid after. Kid was not happy. I was like, oh man, I'm so sorry. Oh. Like, I'm so sorry. Like I was not trying to, totally in good fun. I'll take it down right now. And then we kind of like, Ariel and I were having that conversation. It's like, listen, like we have to be able to make mistakes. Like, I don't think we should be like, if a kid makes a silly mistake, it's cool. It's good. And we have to, as coaches, kind of preach it. And so there was that like whole dilemma. It's like, all right, like kids are going to be afraid to make a mistake because if Coach Matt's there filming, then he's going to post it on TikTok or whatever it may be. And we just have like constantly been preaching into our kids of like, make mistakes, like make the most glorious mistake. If you're going to make a mistake, like let's go try and do something big.
If you're going to make a mistake, let's go viral, baby.
Yeah. But I mean, literally, it's just like, we've got to be okay making mistakes. Yeah. And this is a whole nother topic, but like, we have kids who have had a lot of success when they're little kids, right? Like we've got a couple 12 and under trophies back there. That's like, they've won when they're little, like the very first tournament they've experienced, and like they're on the medal stand. And so they've won a 12s national championship. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, is that the standard? Like I need to win every time. It's like, no, you won a 12s national championship when there were 9 teams in the division, right? And the best players are playing in 14s right now, right? So it's like, all of a sudden you've got these kids who like very easily could become, I'm afraid of making mistakes and I'm not going to progress because I think I need to win at all times and I have to be perfect. I have to be perfect. And it's like, no, like we're going to celebrate the mistakes now. And so the answer basically we come back to is like, hey, you make a mistake, great. We're going to celebrate it by posting it on social media. And yes, if you're uncomfortable with that, I'm sorry. Beta Bay is probably not the place for you. But it is what it is. Like we're going to be okay with that because you have to be okay. If you're going to get any good, you got to be pushing just outside that comfort zone, and you're going to make mistakes outside your comfort zone until that becomes your new comfort. And then we push a little bit further. We push a little bit further. And so that's been one where, yeah, like we've gone through the censorship portion of things of like, what do we post? What don't we? And for the most part, like if it's in good fun and it's in good faith and it's not like anything malicious, like we'll put it out there. Like we're not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. It's just, this is for fun. And if you have a big issue and someone if you want to like comment a person, take it down, like you can do that and we'll think about it. But probably if we A-okayed it to post it, it ain't going to come down anymore.
Yeah. Dude, I think that's so cool. Honestly, I think it's so cool because I think a lot of people are afraid to make that mistake. And I think that's what's so amazing about you and the club you're running is like, it's a human experience club. It's not just volleyball, you know? It's like, This is how we're going to teach you to be a great human, because you're totally right. I experience it all the time. It's like, you want to, and this is why I started this podcast too, is because like a lot of interviews are like, you know, oh, what's your favorite color? Or like, what was it like as a child? Like, it's just, you know, it's like, let's just be honest. Let's talk how we talk. If you swear a lot, like, okay, that's you. That's how you talk. Like, let's share that with people, that we're all humans and that we make mistakes and that we can come back from them. And here's the lessons we've learned. And like, I just think that's so beautiful that you guys do that. I definitely, I think you did a great job. It's like, that's actually what I wish we would have had when I was a kid.
I'm going to flip the script on you for a second, if that's okay. As a former club player, former youth club player, going through college, going through professional, what is it? There's 2 questions. What is it that you wish you had, right? So kind of going off of that, what is it that you wish you had when you were playing club? And then what is it that, like, if you right now were to start your own club, what would you try and do? Like, what would you make it about?
Wow. Those are really, really good questions. And well, let's start with the last one, which was like, what would I do if I were to start a club right now? I think the first thing you said, which was, let's make this let's make this something bad. What was it called? Bad volleyball or whatever.
Yeah, bad.
Dude, let's walk the line of what's appropriate and what's not. Let's like, because I do think in some, like, how many times I've done like Q&As with colleges or clubs or different people, and they're like, dude, we loved your message. And it's like, I tell our kids that all the time. They don't listen to me, but when you tell it to them, it's like, that's what a club, that's why I love what you guys are doing. It's like, you're the voice for that. You know, it's like, you guys do such a good job because you bring this youthful energy of actually really connecting with them. Whereas I also know a lot of other clubs who are run by, you know, older people, and you can just see that that's their formula. Their pillars are also like a bit ancient.
Yeah.
Rome is falling, you know? And so that's what I would want for sure, because like, that's the first and foremost, like, let's have a good time. The second thing I would do is what you're doing as well, which is I would create as many resources for these kids to play as much as possible. Like, and I tell this all the time, like, you know, I did when I first went to Beta Bay. I was actually sponsored to go there. We couldn't really afford it. His name is Ryan Georges. He like paid for my first time in club. So, and I'm sure you guys have some sort of scholarship program as well. That's definitely an important piece for me, like having that. I also had a mentor. He was my mentor. And I think you've helped me actually push to like reach out to your kids to do that. That'd be another part of what I would do. And what I think you guys also do really well is like bring in those resources because to your point is like, there's no good refs because good players don't want to be refs. I'm not saying there's no good coaches. There's lots of good coaches, but there's not a ton of high level, Olympic level, or like really good league professional for a long time level of coaches because there's not that many players who are doing that in America as well, but also they're not coming back to coach right away, or there's just not that many of them. So as a club director, it's like, well, you got to do what you can do, And I think I know myself, I know Dustin Watton, I know some other people who are trying to build those resources also for clubs to help you guys, help us, and like help these kids ultimately get better and create resources for them. And at 15, 16, 17, 18, dude, all I wanted to do was play volleyball. That's it. And like even some kids I work with, they're like this one kid I work with is basically a genius, like he's so smart. He like manages his life like an absolute adult. That was not me, bro. I was like, what's that, Matt? I can wake up at 6 a.m. and go play on Santa Cruz on the beach all day. You're creating a tournament. I'll be there, like I was trying to get rowdy. I was trying to have fun. Like I would have fit into your culture that you guys are building now, like even better, like I was all about it, dude. And so like, that's what I think. Like when I look at what I'm seeing from most clubs, from most colleges, from most coaches, it's like, there needs to be a re-education going on, or like, I don't want to say re-education. I'm not trying to sound like an asshole. Like I know everything. Yeah. Like, what do I know? But like through my experience, it's like, man, I've been fortunate enough to play at such high levels and see different levels of coaching and experience different styles of coaching that a couple styles in particular, I'm like, I don't see this anywhere. And I see this being so helpful for kids because kids need to be at every position, need to be touching the ball in a million different ways. Like they just need to be active and understand how their body moves. And like, there's just so many things you can do. And I think,
can I double click on that one for volleyball nerds?
Yeah.
I want you to dive deeper into that one. Like the style of coaching where you're like, you got a million different ways they're touching the ball. Like, give me the nitty gritty. Like, how would you do that? Is this a Milan? Is this a Milan style? What do we got here?
I mean, Milan Zarkovic is the godfather of the style that I learned. Yeah. And in fact, a guy I work with now, Javier Weber from Argentina, I've taken what I learned from Milan and now I incorporate that with the like more structured system that I'm learning from this guy. And I'm like, I think I got the formula, dude. Like for real. It's the first time that everything's just clicked where I'm just like, this makes so much sense. And I can see how this breaks down into like how you could begin teaching these concepts to the youth.
Yeah.
When it comes to a style of training, look, I'm just not about the like classic American volleyball is like show up, do the same D-ROMs you do. And especially when you watch kids do D-ROMs, it's like, really? You think that's useful having them touch their toes and like do Frankenstein walks? Like, nah, there's so many better ways to do that. That's a whole nother conversation we don't need to get into. Great resource for that would be, his name is Rhett Larson. He works with, I believe, Belgium's women's national team or Germany's women's national team. I had him on the podcast episode 4 or something. Go check it out. We talk a lot about the different strategies you can use for warm-up that I think would be unbelievable to introduce to kids. A lot of them are games and different like bandit. Everything is about games and having fun, getting them to compete. And that also, to me, that starts in warm-up. It doesn't have to be something where it's like, I don't know, like, okay, we're gonna hold a plank for 30 seconds and then side plank and then like touch your toes and then do these. Not that I'm saying that those aren't also useful tools to have. It's like, but you see so many people doing the same things. And what are these kids doing? They're talking with their buddies. They're just like kind of going through the motions. It's like they're getting nothing out of it. It's a waste. Well, guess what? You can make some of these things into games and make them fun and make them engaging and get these kids to compete while they're also stretching and maybe they don't even know it, or activating and they don't even know it. To me, that's the secret sauce. And I also feel the same way when it comes to training. Like there are, like you said, you're creating resources for these kids to hopefully touch the ball in many different ways. Guess what? Not all of them are doing that. Maybe some of them are studying for to go work at Tesla, dude, and they just don't got the time for that. You know what I mean? And so like, you got to get it done when you got those 2 days on the weekend to train with them. Well, that's why I believe so much in that, like the first hour at least of training needs to be all skills. Like it just does, dude. Now, granted, if you want to be a high level setter, yeah, you got to set a ton of balls. But look at all the high level setters. They're also really good on defense. They also understand the game really well. Like, what are they doing to expand their knowledge on the game? It's not just like, how is their touch? Like, location, touch, that stuff just comes from setting more balls. It's like you need to get them to understand and start thinking about the game. And based on what I know from like kids that I work with also, it's like, and when I look back on myself on when I was, 15, 16, 17, 18, I wasn't like thinking about the game. I was just playing it. So to me, it's like you have to find a way to introduce to them in a fun and exciting way how to think about the game differently, how to not teach them just one way of doing something and just do this and you're going to be fine. Like, no. And I use this example way too much, but like when I went to UH, it was with Charlie Wade. One time I was playing opposite and setter at the time, if you can believe it. Yes, I know you can believe it. I was playing opposite setter, and I was someone who wasn't a good jumper, and so I was always needing to swing block, and he kept saying I was drifting past the pin attacker, and so he was like, we need you to static block. And I remember being like, nah, I swing block. I can't afford to I need to do this. And at the time did not know how to communicate well with coaches, and just like in the moment was like, no, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. Explain it to me. Why do I want to do this? All of that to say, it's like, I wish I would have had the attitude of, that's what you want me to do? Sick. What's that, coach? Like, our outside hitters hurt today and we only have 12 players, so now we're down to 11, or we have 13 players and now you need me to fill in as outside. Sick. All right, let me learn to pass. Let me learn to do these things. That was a very expanded answer. All to say, the style of training, I think, that is really superior in my mind in every aspect of the game is being adaptable. You got to learn to be adaptable. What are you going to do? Like, I see this with pro players all the time. They need their 5 minutes of foam roller. They need their their arms to pepper, where they're just throwing the ball back and forth casually and they're peppering. And granted, like game day, I like a little rhythm. I like a little routine. Practice time, dude. Have someone hiding in the stands with a bucket of water balloons, and every once in a while he tries to hit me with a water balloon, dude. Like that's what I want. I want to be adaptable. I want to be like, oh, didn't see that. Oh, like working on these little skills. And so that's obviously unrealistic. I don't know where you have to go task rabbit to even find someone who would do that, or like hire some kid. I don't know what the rules are. But to me, it's more about like, can you get these kids out of their comfort zone all the time? And can you get them to compete while they're doing it? Because having that competitive edge, it can't just exist in 6-on-6. It can't just exist when it's tournament time and it's go time. It's got to exist all the time. And a lot of that comes from, you also have to learn to respect each other. And you build that respect also by building their confidence in their own skills. And that's the in my opinion, the absolute best part about playing the highest level of volleyball is everyone really respects each other, because everyone's so damn good, dude. Yeah. Everyone's good. Everyone passes free balls perfect. Well, not all the time, but most of the time. It's like you don't have to deal. It's like so refreshing, different from even from college, from club. It's like, I don't have to worry about like little bullshit errors that we're all mad about all the time. It's like they just happen so much less. And to me, a big part of that is, what's your volleyball IQ? How skillful are you? So this idea of introducing some kind of like, and I see you guys do it because I know Jones learned a little bit from Milan Zarkovic as well. And like, just a little bit of that style of like, and Austin Einhorn is also a great resource of just kind of like, once you own a skill, like peppering, once your team owns the skill of peppering, what can you do now? Can you place a net in front of them? Can you take away a contact? Can you add a contact? Can you make them go short and long? Can you make them go left and right? And so finding ways to, like, that's why Baggeroni, every time I do a clinic, I always start with Baggeroni, because it's the most fun game of all time, volley tennis or whatever, you know, and it's like, it gets them to think in different ways. As you're running towards a ball, you're with your peripheral vision, seeing, is the guy short? Is he long? Is he left? Is he right? Trying to, can I trick him a little bit? Should I go deep with it? You start to understand the game in a way that's fun and playful and competitive. And so when I see these drills, there's like one viral drill of just like attacking, for example, where this coach is just like tossing a ball. Yeah. I'm sure you've seen it. These kids are just bouncing the ball under the net. I'm just like, the world needs to change, dude.
Yeah, you go look at the comments of that video and it's like, we need to do this in practice, or like tag your coach in the comments. Like, no, we're not getting anything out of this.
No, dude, no.
I have a follow-up to the point of gamifying.
This is supposed to be about you, dude.
I'm sorry. I still have the notes from when you came in the garage of of the blocking schemes that we worked in to our nice. Summer season for our team.
And off podcast, we'd talk a little more about that.
Yeah. But my follow-up on the gamifying stuff, like for you guys now, are your coaches tracking like who wins and loses? Is that beneficial?
I'll tell you what, actually, for the first time in my entire professional career, we play Baggeroni. We call it Baggeroni volley tennis, but we play 2-on-2, two balls. 2 balls at the same time. And we've created different rules for, like, for example, if the first ball, until you play basically 2 balls. Once one ball falls, it's 2-on-2, 1 ball, but it's still one touch. Everything is one touch. It's better to add in more touches, I think, at a youth level, but for us, it's like everything is one touch. If you attack the ball or you put the ball over and there's no touch, it hits the floor, it's 2 points. Anyways, we play experienced versus young. So it gets split right in the middle. If you're experienced older guy, you're here. If you're a younger guy, you're here, and we play against each other. We keep score. We play one game to 25 at the beginning of every practice. It's the most fun part. Everyone loves it so much. It's the most fun thing that goes on in practice.
Yeah.
And so for the first time, we keep score, and every month there's a winner. And the loser at that month has to pay for a barbecue for the other team. So it could be like sushi and beer in the training room, or like something like that every week. So you'd be happy to know the experienced boys won this last month, but right now we're down. Mid-October, we're down, and it's not looking great, honestly. But it's so fun, dude. It's so fun. Our stat guy like sends us the stats every week. Like it's super fun.
Great.
And I think there's this misconception that like once you become a professional, everything has to be so serious. And I quite honestly don't understand it at all. And that's like a lot of what I try to push on social media too. It's like, I mean, I posted a video of like, Matt Anderson hitting me in the face. It's like why can't we enjoy this too? I try to post like drills and different things. It's like there's so much we can be doing, and I've been like so fortunate and also so let down at the professional national team level, where it's just like, what? Why is this so boring? Why does it have to be? You think that like it has to be all serious to get better? Like you really think that? Like, come on, there's so many different ways to win and score and compete, and like, so that's why when it comes to training the youth, it's like, just get them to have a good time. Teach them to compete. Teach them to win. Teach them to lose. Like teach them to be a good person. Show them why being a good person off the court bleeds into what on the court. Like teach them, give them tools, that work on and off the court. Like there's just so much. And I think it's why I'm so attracted to people with like a good sense of humor, like someone like you, because I just think it's like, it's such a reminder of like, yeah, let's get better. Let's have serious conversations about defensive schemes and how you can use them for your kids that you're teaching, But let's also it's like social media. It's like, yeah, let's push these things so these kids are stoked, but like let's also make it fun, because there has to be that balance, because we're a spinning rock, in space right now. We're like, my job, I geek out about that all the time, where I'm like, oh yeah, like don't forget, like I catch myself all the time as a professional riding the highs and lows. So for example, the last couple of weeks I've been playing like honestly just incredible volleyball. Like I'm really playing really well right now. And it's great for me because I've had a foot injury. Last year, I didn't even play for a third of the season. So I'm like, there's my boy. Like, he's back, And so you ride the high of, like, we just beat an amazing team. And, like, I'm stoked. We're in the bus. We're drinking some beers on the way home. Like, I'm just hyped. Like, there he is. Like, we're back, baby. And I have to keep myself in check all the time, because I'm like, oh, yeah, remember that, like, you don't want to be a slave to your emotions. Don't ride the highs so high that then you get to the lows. Because I do that sometimes, where it's like then I hit the lows and I'm riding them low.
Totally.
It's like be mature enough to find the balance where it's like, enjoy the highs, dude. Enjoy beating one of the best teams in the league. Enjoy that right now your performance is amazing. Keep motivating yourself to keep, because it is motivating, But it's like, can I also carry that same motivation when I'm playing bad, when I'm injured? And that's the ultimate key just to life in general. It's just understanding like, dude, like have tools for when things are great, tools for when things aren't great. And to bring this back on you, I think that's
cool, man. It's so crazy. It's like you've got all these incredible things, right? And you kind of think back to your story as well, of like where you started, where the struggles that you went through college, where you're at now, these ups and downs, these peaks and valleys. And if the only thing that kind of fills that void of like, I can be happy now is because we won, like it's a really dark and lonesome time, right? Because I mean, we've gone through it. Like we won our first trophy, right? Like for us, like the end all goal for us is to win national championships at the end. Like that's the scoreboard at the end, is which club brought home the most trophies, which club won, which club kind of performed the best. And it's so easy to just be like, is that the only thing that we're going to tie the satisfaction of our life into, right? And it's very easy to get caught up in that game, in that race. in whatever you do, right? Like we've got our people who do tech sales, right? Is the number at the end of the quarter the only thing that determines if you're happy or not, right? Or, can we all understand that, like you said, we're just a little speck of dust on a rock floating around the middle of space, and we're all just out here trying to do our best, finding different ways to kind of anchor yourself and be good with you and being comfortable in your own skin and just kind of loving the life that you live is, I think, the greatest tool that we possibly can pass on to kids. I think that's what's so fun about our job, beyond the blank slate and getting to do these, NFT shorts and different things like this, and like getting to just mess around and try and create some cool stuff, is we as coaches and you as someone who, for lack of a better word, is an influencer, right, in the world of volleyball. You get to impact kids, and you get to have this relationship with kids, and in a stage where they're like really trying to figure out who they are. And I talked about this with Dustin at length as well, of like just thinking back to like when I was a kid, and when you were a kid, when Dustin was a kid, of like what you would have given for someone who like was there for you and like was hyped on you and was trying to help you succeed in whatever it is you wanted to do, but also keeping you grounded and like helping you understand the way this world works, and helping you understand like the tools that you need to get out of your upbringing in order to be able to succeed and thrive. Those are the greatest things we could pass on. And sports is such a good tool for that, right? Winning, losing, progress, struggle, like going, like having to like set your mind to something and then put yourself on the line. Like that's life, baby. Like that's what we got to do. You got to go out there, and you got to go out and try and perform at your highest level. And sometimes the other person is better, right? There's a bigger dog, right? There's a bigger dog out there that wins. And you've got to be able to come back, take a look, and not just like be defeated, but try and figure out, all right, we got to chart a new course. Like, where are we going next? How are we going to get to the next stage of what we want to do? What is it that we want to do? And if we can arm kids with the confidence and the understanding that, hey, mistakes are going to happen or losses are going to happen, and being able to deal and manage with those, like that's the greatest thing that we can pass along. And there's a lot of people who are in really unique places that can do that, right? And I think that's what's really cool about what's kind of been happening in the volleyball world for the past couple of years, right? Of you and Dustin, and there's a number of people who kind of use social media and this online marketing world, for lack of a better term, to be able to kind of spread some messages and be able to share their stories and let kids relate. Because I think there's so many kids that relate to the story. I know we had a number of players after you and Dustin ran their clinic that like I had conversations months afterward, and kids were like, what really changed for me was when Taylor said this. Like Taylor said it was okay to like be like, I was a fuck up in high school, or I made a mistake, and it's okay. Like that doesn't define me. I'm able to understand, like, I can't act like that. I need to be able to make this change. That's huge. I had another player who literally like balled out in the summer. He was crushing it. And then we go through our first tournament and really started to struggle. And he was a starter, and all throughout this tournament, the last tournament before national championship tournament, like was really struggling, like lack of confidence. I'm like, what is going on? And he made this flip, like right after he was the starter, he lost it. Another guy came in, we crushed it. We got to the finals, lost in the finals. And so we were still performing at a really high level. And we're going into the national championship, and he's like, just bought in still. Like he's all in, he reset, he goes through practice. He is competing and doing what he can. He's the third guy now. He's the third pin. And his opportunity came in the nationals tournament where, OH2 was starting to struggle. So we flopped him in, and he just took it and ran. And I talked to him afterwards. I was like, what was the switch? He's like, honestly, like I was so worried he's like, I knew I had the OH2 spot locked up. I knew I was there. And I knew that tournament right before nationals was it. Like, and if I could hold that, I would be the guy. And I was so worried about losing that spot that I forgot about just playing. And after that tournament, I just took a day, and I was just thinking back to the clinic that we did with Taylor and Dustin. And I thought about what Dustin said of like, if you shank the past, does your mom not love you anymore? Like if you make this mistake, is the world over? No, No, not at all. Like you're still you, and there's still so many people that love you, and like you've got to be able to detach like you making a mistake from your actual being of who you are. Because again, I just decided then and there that I was like, I'm not gonna just tense up because I'm worried about making a mistake. I just need to go out and play and trust that I've put in the work. And he did, right? He got us to a national championship that we lost in 3. But it was just a great story of like a kid that needed to hear something from someone else, and he was able to keep that in his back pocket and pull it out when he needed. It was just the coolest story of like, yes, we need more people like you, like Dustin, who are sharing their path, their story of what they've gone through in this little volleyball world that so many kids are going through now, right?
Yeah.
It's a cool thing to be able to kind of see develop.
Dude, I first of all, I think that's a really cool story, and I just think it's also so applicable to myself as a professional. I was just talking with Josh Tuaniga, who's a national team setter. He's playing with me overseas here, and both of us have had like this summer had really good serves. Like on the national team, I came in in world champs, like as a serving sub to play a couple rotations, like. For the first time in my life, I was even shocked. Like I switched up my serve, which we can talk about later. Also, I think this like 5-step hybrid is the future. I think it's such an incredible serve to learn, to teach. But him and I were talking because even this season, it's like we've been overthinking serving mistakes, him and I both, and like Josh and I have both been like kind of missing too many serves. And granted, like the last couple games for me has been a lot better, but it's like I'll have 4 error. Like this the match we just played, I had 4 errors and 2 aces. That's not bad to get 2 aces, 4 errors. That's not bad on 20 serves. So that's serving at like, I don't know, 75, 80%, maybe 80%, 75%. I don't know. Anyways, I remember him talking, and I remember him telling me, because he's been struggling a little bit, and this last game was like pretty good for me. And I remember being like, dude, the coach we have is amazing, but he's also very like he wants you to be smart. He needs you to have a backup serve for what's best for the team. And I think it's an important skill to have. But I even said, I was like, dude, sometimes, yes, your coach wants this. Yes, you have this expectation. Yes, when you miss a serve, you see him react and like it's hard. But I was like, dude, I honestly, in this last match, I started saying, sorry, mom. I started saying like fuck it, dude, fuck it. I started saying it out loud. So I go back to serve, and I have this routine of like when I'm walking back to serve, I toss the ball. And I say the 2 cues out loud to myself. And the main cue for me when it comes to serving is drive the ball, right? So I'm not just making contact. It's not like hitting. It's that I'm trying to follow through all my energy towards the area I'm trying to go in. I'm not trying to like make some like fast move with my wrist. It's not like an attack in the middle. It's not like anything. You need to be driving the ball. So I say it in Serbian because it's something I learned from Milan. I just like, that's his voice gets played. So I go, idemo bebo, which is let's go baby in Serbian. I go, idemo, drive ball sine, which means drive the ball, son. That's what I say to myself. And so recently I started doing that, and I'll have different cues based on if I think I'm struggling with things. But for the most part, I've been thinking too much about my serve. And in a game, like I missed one serve and I was on the bench and I was pissed. I was like, that was a bad mistake. Because to me, I don't care if I have misses. It's what was my intention? Was my intention it was 24-23. If I miss, we lose this set, and I make a mistake, that's bad. Was it's 24-23. If I miss this serve, we lose this set. I win in. I was like, I'm going to drive it on this guy. I went to drive the ball and I missed it out a little bit. To me, it's like, I can live with that. And I was telling Josh, I was like, dude, I started just saying like, fuck it out loud. Like, I know the camera zoomed in on me. I know people can probably see it, but I'm just like, I don't care. It's what I need. I need to hype myself up. And the reason I bring this up is because like, it's so great to be able to be inspired by someone else in that way. And then also, you also have to learn that you have to be your number one fan sometimes. And that's really, really hard to do. I'm here in this house in Poland all by myself, dude. Like, beautiful house. Beautiful house. It is really. But like, it's like I'm all alone, dude. No one cares. And sometimes it's like I had this amazing game at 18 points yesterday as a middle. It's like, that's fantastic in a 5-set match that we beat one of the best teams. And then I'm like, but no one cares. Like, and this is something I wanted to talk to you about, a question I'd like to lead this into. It's like, kids don't know who I am. Kids don't know who the best leagues in the world are. Kids don't know who these professionals are. I go back and then it's like, oh yeah, life just continues. And in my like my ego is just like, but no, it needs to feed me, like I played so amazing. Like you should be like, not praising me, but like, like this is like, I want credit for it. I feel sometimes like this deserves it. I work really hard for this. I leave my family and girlfriend and everything to be here. And it's like, and then no one cares. And so that's what the point of that is what I was trying to relay to Josh is like, hey man, sometimes like and I'm here for you. I got you. But like, sometimes you got to be your number one fan, and sometimes you got to get yourself pumped up. And so sometimes in a game, you have to be like, do I just want to like mull around on the mistakes I'm making? Like, oh, what a bad serve. Like, oh, damn it. Now you're thinking about it. And then you come back to serve. You better believe you're still thinking about it. Or do you want to say, fuck it, dude, I'm going for it. Like, I'm going for it, dude. And if you have that attitude and you miss 3 in a row, get pulled. You deserve it. But how did you get pulled? Did you get pulled because you were scared? Did you get pulled because you made honest mistakes, you know?
Yeah.
And just to now pivot, I'm sorry, I don't need to.
No, you're good.
This is not about me. I do want to know, like, why does there feel like there's just this big disconnect? Why do these kids not know? Now, granted, like when I came there, it's like, okay, some of the guys knew who I was because I'm a Beta Bay alum, and like you guys have been making merch, drop dimes. We'll talk about that in a second. Also, I know you got to leave here in a little bit, so
I'm good, man. My children don't wake up for 30 minutes.
Okay, sick. We'll wrap it up soon. But I'm just like, what is the big disconnect? Like, to me, it's like, dude, and this is what, you know, some guys, myself included, are really trying to do, is to start bridging the gap a little bit between like the highest level, the NBA of volleyball, and like, you know, like, and kids, basically, like trying to bridge that gap a little bit, because it makes me sad that these kids that they don't have, it's not ESPN, they can flip it on and watch the highest level of their sport that they love. You know, like when I was a kid, when you and I were kids, it's like the highlights of volleyball was like Leon Marshall, dude. It was this Cuban guy. You just watch his like, yeah, exactly. Like guys who just had insane verticals, basically. Like that's what was fun to watch. And that's all there was on YouTube when it was just kind of coming out too. But now to me, it's like nowadays it's like, dude, there's no excuses at all. Like what's going on? You're like kind of at the forefront of that.
I mean, there's just a general lack of knowledge. I think number one, you think about the role that media plays in the access to a sport, right? Like there just isn't volleyball on TV. Like you said, a kid can't just flip on the TV and see volleyball unless it's, you know, May 4th or whatever the men's national championship is. Maybe it's on ESPN2, or maybe, you know, women's volleyball is starting to get a lot more TV, which is awesome. And I hope that will.
The women are crushing it. They're getting it figured out, which is awesome.
Yeah, they're selling out stadiums, and there's some great stuff to come in the women's side of things.
We should give a shout out to, what is it called? I think there's like
LOVB,
and then there's Aurora Sport or something.
AU Pro Volleyball.
Okay, sick.
Yeah. Those are the two women's. Or yeah, so AU Pro Volleyball is the one that's up and running.
Yeah,
they've got some good media contracts and are doing a good job. All right,
sick.
2 years now that they've run that, and it seems like it's gotten some traction, which is awesome. And then Love VB is like a private equity investment group that's kind of starting with the ambitions of doing a pro league. They've been buying up a lot of the bigger girls clubs across the country. It's kind of like a European soccer kind of model of, you know, having academies basically that feed into what would then be the pro league. So
that's sick.
Yeah, some good stuff there. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a general lack of knowledge. Like guys don't know the path, right, to be a pro volleyball player until probably about like 15, 16. And now, granted, there's much more on YouTube now. Like there's a lot of access, and then you've got TikTok, you've got Instagram, Volleyball World posting a lot of content that's reaching the volleyball community, right? The algorithm is finding those people and showing them what's out there. Shout out to the algorithm. But yeah, I think there's definitely more knowledge now, but it's not the same level. And so when you can't point to something in your own country that's like that, you know, like that's the pinnacle, that's the peak. It's hard to then realize that the pinnacle, the peak is actually, it's over in Poland, it's over in Italy, it's over in Russia, wherever it may be. Right, you know, top pro leagues in the world. It's tough for kids to understand that until a little bit later on. We have one of our coaches, one of your former teammates, Chad Gordon, who basically
got to see him in Poland.
Yeah, he came.
That was cool.
Was out at World Champs.
Yeah,
really smart guy. Great coach. Probably, in my opinion, one of the best boys club volleyball coaches in the country, hands down. Like
borderline true genius.
Yeah, he is a genius. He's working on some whole other conversation, but he's working on like this insane.
We talked about it a little bit.
Yeah. Visual analytics,
So
computer vision of volleyball. The guy's crazy. Look up his Volley Dork is his blog, and it's wild. So if anyone's listening is a Volley Dork,
I'm gonna have to check it out. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's got a lot of good stuff on there. But I mean, the ability for guys to see pro players and see these top leagues is what's kind of missing. And so Chad did a film review, and basically each week he would take a pro match, right? And so we did yours once. We did one of your I think you were in France at the time. Did one of your matches there. He did something with Lyon. I think he had
Yeah, I saw
Zaxa.
Perugia on there.
Yeah, Perugia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the best teams.
He did an Aaron Russell one, kind of like just taking these pro matches and showing them like, here is how the top teams in the world are playing. And by the way, here's this team name, and here's Lube, and here's all these different teams. And kids are like, what in the world? Like, Lube, what is Lube? I don't know what this stuff is. And so just trying to.
By the way, it's Lube. I love that you said Lube. The Lube is so much better.
Yeah. No, that's what the kids on the call are like. What is Lube? I don't know what Lube is. Yeah, Lube.
As they shouldn't know what it is.
Yeah. So that's kind of the part of the goal. It's just like, we're just trying to show them that stuff. And that was pretty cool for kids just to be able to like understand, oh, there's a big game happening tonight. Like Lyon is taking on forget what the matchup was, but God, I'm
like Modena or whoever, dude.
Yeah, someone. But it was just a killer matchup, and so they got to see this breakdown of this game after, like, the next day from Chad. So they got to see some of that stuff, but it's just a general lack of knowledge, so they don't get to see you, right? You aren't like in Poland. Give me a rundown. Like, what's it like when you walk down the street in Poland? Do people recognize you?
I wake up to a parade every morning in front of my house, dude. They're just parades of people.
18 points last night. Everyone to Taylor's house.
That's also because I live right next to a church. And by parade, I meant they ring the fucking bell every hour on Sundays for all these services. I live right next to it.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But like, I mean, that is what's so cool specifically about playing in Poland is Poland volleyball is very popular. So you get, and I had this at University of Hawaii also. Like, that was close. That was the closest thing to pro volleyball we really had. It's like, you go to a bar all across Hawaii, games on TV. People know who you are. They won the national championships. Like, they're getting paraded around the city. That is so cool. And in Poland, it's really similar. In fact, they're just starting to. I mean, I just shot my first like legit TV commercial with our main sponsor that we have out here, where it was like huge production and all of that kind of stuff. Like, it's so sick. It's so cool for me as a volleyball player too, where it's like, I grew up in the Bay Area where like people in the stands were your parents, you know, and like maybe a friend, that someone hired to be there. And so like now it's nice that it's like when you come here, it's like, oh, you play in stadium. World Championships was a great example. This last World Championships 2022 was, in Poland, and we played them in the quarterfinals, and there was 14,000 people there. Like, that's amazing for volleyball. It just goes to show, like, Poland honestly is the mecca of people who love volleyball. The league itself, top to bottom, is like as pro as it gets. The way the athletes are paid and treated, like, it's just, this is as legit as it gets. And what's really cool, and to talk about the kids' perspective, I have a couple teammates. A lot of actually my teammates came from nothing, like lived in villages. Like one of my teammates in particular, who's a really close friend of mine, and he's like an inspiration for me. He's like the classic kid who's like, he's our fourth middle. He's a baller. Also, Poland just produces insane genetic robots. It's so wild, dude. He's a baller. He's got over a 40-inch vertical. He looks like he should be playing rugby. He's like 240 pounds. He's so thick. He's smaller than me. He's insane. But he's such a good dude. He's got a great sense of humor and just a workaholic. Like, he also owns his own shoe shipping something company, makes tons of money doing that. Like, because he came from nothing, dude. I had him come over here the other day to teach me how to build a fire. Okay, because I have a fireplace and I also have a sauna in the backyard where you build the fire. He taught me how to chop wood. Like, I'm a suburban kid from the Bay Area. Like, I don't know how to do any of those things. And it's just such a great reminder of like where this kid came from nothing. And so to him, it's like, to him, his family, he said when he goes back to his village, everyone knows when he's leaving. It's like, I don't know. It's like first day of school, where your parents are like waving to you goodbye if like the bus were to come pick you up. I don't know if that even happens in real life. I always wanted that, like a bus to pick me up, a little yellow school bus. Doesn't happen exactly though. Like the whole school village, or the whole village is there. And he's just like, and I have another teammate who grew up wiping the floor at pro games, because that's what happens. Like, the kids are like, the ones tossing the balls to make sure that a player gets it, and wiping the floor and that kind of stuff. And they're so excited. And like, he's like, dude, I remember wiping the floor. Now I'm the second setter on this team. And it's like, that's why they work hard, dude. The work ethic is insane, because they're like, here, I'm a legend. even just being on the pro team, like I'm a legend, and I just think it's so cool. And I'm like, damn, if we had that in the States, do you know how much more kids would be down with? And volleyball is definitely growing in such a great way, but like how amazing that would be, the opportunity it would really create for these kids to be like, I can be a legend. I could be Michael Jordan,
Yeah, you could,
like
something that you can just easily point to,
Yeah.
I mean, the closest thing we have is NCAA men's volleyball, right? And
Right.
so
Right.
for us, like growing up, did you ever go to a Stanford game?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like that in itself is huge. And
Yeah,
the
for
ability
sure.
to just point, like go sit down and like watch like someone go and play at a level that is higher than you in person
Right.
is really cool.
For
Right.
sure.
So like last year, like this is I think year 6 for me on staff with Stanford, but 2 years ago when they literally cut Stanford men's volleyball as a business owner, as someone in the area that runs boys volleyball, that was a massive blow. Like we were so bummed on like not having the ability to point to Stanford and be like, yeah, go look at the path right there. Like there's Stanford. They're playing the top teams in the country. There's high level men's volleyball right there. Right. Being able to point to that path is a huge ability to just kind of give kids something to look up to. Right. And yes, there is no tier above that, but those are some of the big things. Like you have this big growth at the young kids side, but then on the next level, like what is currently our top level, right? There's been a lot of stagnation in terms of Division I, and there's a lot of restrictions in terms of like the Title IX and the ability for schools to sponsor it. But we can't have subtraction, right? Losing a Stanford or losing a big D1 program is a massive blow to what's underneath, right? That youth upbringing, that ability for guys to see a path forward and have something in their backyard that they can go just check out. Like that's the reason. Like that's what we're looking for. The next step, obviously, is exactly what you're saying. Exactly what Poland has set up is this infrastructure and this media that is able to show and showcase even more than just show what the sport has. I think that's another piece of like kind of some of the cool things that are going on in social media is the ability to just showcase like it is cool to play boys volleyball. Like boys volleyball is an awesome sport. It is so much fun. It is so athletic. There's so many variations when you understand the strategy and you get to see it up close and kind of see, how much physicality there actually is. Like that's big. And that's part of the thing that, we want to do for our guys is like, let's make this awesome to be a part of this club. Let's showcase what these kids can do. And, I know Dustin does a really good job of that, of like showcasing athletes, and he gets some flack for it. He'll get haters in the volleyball community. They're like, oh, it's stupid. But he's showcasing kids. He's showcasing the youth. He's showcasing college, women's college, right? He is pushing that up. And I think that's a really cool piece. And an important part for any growth that we're going to see is continuing to try and elevate it, right? Elevate the experience, elevate the watching experience, making it seen that this is something that has, not just like a leg to stand on, but has a solid foundation of fans and people that want this type of content to be seen, at least in the United States, right? And that's a really cool thing to be able to like you have that and see that, and be able to kind of push the needle, hopefully in a right direction across the country for us.
Well, man, I just listening to you talk, I just was like, man, I think Bay to Bay volleyball is like the ultimate example of what that looks like. So if there's other coaches or clubs listening to this, dude, like go see what you guys got on your social media. Go speak with Matt. I mean, that's my favorite part about you is like you're so open to have conversation. Like I wanted to get in some different things, like some Balboa beef, some like fun stuff to make volleyball fun. There's so many things we didn't get into, but it's totally fine. I want to wrap it up here. But I just think like, dude, you to me are just like, I remember both of us played at Beta Bay and like that culture was still kind of looks the same. There just wasn't social media, like just no one else knew about it. But like, dude, that's the best part. This is why I love the volleyball community. It's just a bunch of just fun, dorky dudes who just like love having a good time. Volleyball is just such a unique sport in that way. It's I don't know. I just have this like real soft spot for the volleyball community. And I just like, absolutely, this is why I needed to get you on here. It's just I absolutely think you guys are the ultimate, and I'm not just saying this because I played there, I'll say it again. It's like, prove me wrong, dude. Someone send me a message. Prove me wrong. Like, you guys to me are just the ultimate representation of what a club should be and what a club can offer, the resources you give. It's like, on my end as a professional, it's like, I don't want to be a part of the hate anymore. It was too easy to sit back and watch social media and be like, that drill sucks. Or like, this coach doesn't know what he's talking about. Or like, this guy's like, okay, a motivational guy, whatever. And now I'm like, November 1st, I'm launching the Middle Blocker Academy. Finally, I've been talking about it forever. I'm so excited to provide the ultimate resource for middle blockers, And like, you had me in there to like speak with your kids and to like, I just think that like your ability to understand, like, here's what we're good at. Here's what we know. We're young and youthful. We're going to put it on TikTok. We're going to get these kids excited about volleyball. You do that. You're like, I don't know everything about volleyball. You played at a high level, so like you obviously understand the game, but like you were like, I'm going to keep bringing in guys who are playing professional right now at the highest level and hear what they have to say and introduce them to my kids. And like, you're helping bridge the gap. And I feel super blessed to have like such a great relationship with you. And just like, I really love what you and Ariel are doing. I just think it's so cool, dude. I have like as much praise as I could possibly give you. I want to, because
it's very kind. I mean,
it's what I want to see more of,
Yeah, I mean, to toot your horn now. So thank you for pumping up my ego. But again, like, having the ability to point to something specifically as a Beta Bay player of like, look at what this Beta Bay guy's gone off to do, right? And and having alumni who are really engaged with it and want to help and are looking to do things. Like, one of your former teammates, Brian Cook, like we did a training trip in Santa Cruz, and Cookie came on down to the boardwalk and just met with the guys and kind of talked story for a little bit. And like, just having connected alumni that, that we're able to point to and be like, well, just look at what he is doing. Look at what he has done, is a very, very cool thing. And you have gone above and beyond to connect yourself and not just like, yeah, I played a bit bad. Yeah. Awesome. Nice to meet you guys. Yeah. I'll come run my clinic and be on my way, or whatever it may be. Like, you have done an awesome job of really helping, I think, not just Beta Bay, but just club volleyball in general. Like, going to different clinics, different clubs, like going to Mountain View and the backyard as well, like giving back to just the community in general. You've done such a good job of, and I think it's a really good example of what, I hope more and more guys who are playing at a high level will continue to do, because it does mean something. It's not just to inflate your ego. It's something that kids connect to. And even if it is just a couple kids, like that's enough, right? Firing a couple.
I appreciate that, dude. And I feel the same about like even clubs, because I know certain clubs have like actual beef, or there's like stuff we didn't get into, like the recruiting process, which sounds insane to me, like recruiting kids, like, should he go to Mountain Dew? Should he go to Beta Bay? Like all these, like, because you guys are close, all that kind of stuff. And what I love, at least from what I've seen from you guys, is like, you're open to everything. Like, you want to share your knowledge because you care about, first of all, you understand, like, these are kids we're talking about. Yeah. Yes, there's no doubt there's a bit, another things we didn't get to, like the business side of things. And like, for sure, and it's important to understand how to run that. And you want to be making money so you can continue to get to do what you love doing. Mm-hmm. But I think like, you don't see, I know some clubs, I know some directors who feel like they have the secret and they don't want to share it. And like, dude, come on. Like, who cares? Like, well, are you that insecure? Like, some of that stuff to me is insane. And so, and when I say I get it, I really mean it, because I have the same thing with like, when I see guys succeeding who are maybe didn't play at the same level at me, and I'm like, this guy's giving private lessons. Are you kidding? And I won't name names, but like some in particular that I want to, that I'm just like, are you kidding me? I would never let my kid get a private lesson for this. He's teaching passing. Are you serious? Like, but I have to do my best to be like, don't be a hater, man. Like, it's that, or like some parent who, watched volleyball at high school level, or like, it's like, be a positive and all that. Who cares? They're going to figure it out. Like, learning a bad skill as a kid isn't the worst thing. Like, can you do the bad skill? Then you have a new coach and you learn a different skill. And like, now your bag is just full of like, you understand why it didn't work because you experienced it, like for me, it's just such a great reminder of just like, be selfless, dude, and I think as a club, you're a great representation of that. And it makes me think about myself too. Just like, man, don't forget that, like, I want to see Dustin succeed. I want to see, other people succeeding and like trying to progress the game and not have this mindset of like, oh, I could do it better, or like, oh, he's getting paid money to do this. Are you kidding me? I could do that. Like, who cares about that, dude? Everyone's got their own path, their own journey. And I think what we have to remind ourselves in the volleyball community, because it's so small and tight niche, is like, we're all in it together, dude. You can't see my arms right now because they're too big, where they were like hugging, it's like, we're all in it together, man. Like, I want to see the volleyball community win. And the real winning is like, could there be an NBA for volleyball in the States someday? Like, could more professionals create podcasts or do mentorship or do things to like inspire these kids and give these kids people to look up to and like share with coaches and clubs? And like, could it be something that where like enough people do it and the world of volleyball in the United States changes? Because I really want that. And when you look across like Europe, for example, it's like they're figuring it out. Brazil, they're figuring it out. Like, those guys really care about the sport. And so like the youth, the club, it's a way different experience. And so like, I love that. I don't remember, did you guys do a tournament where you went down to Brazil or something, or you cross-pollinated somewhere? Maybe you didn't.
We played a Brazilian team this summer, but we did not go to Brazil.
Whatever. Exactly though. Like, I think that kind of stuff is so important, and like, and I feel like you guys are leading the wave of this evolution of like, let's learn from across the world. Let's learn from the best. Let's try these different things. Let's experiment. Let's show people that we can be wrong and post something we shouldn't and be like, oops, we shouldn't have done that. Like, we're all learning, And so, yeah, I think I'm done talking now. I'm doing too much, dude. You see, when I go on rants, my cheeks get all red. I get all excited.
You're just passionate. Your passion bubbles near the surface, Taylor. That's what we love about you.
Yeah, and then the passion just stays here. My face gets hot, but we live with it, baby. That's how we do it. We roll.
Yep.
Okay, this is now, to me, it's like I really want to give you a chance to kind of hype up what you guys are doing. How can people follow you? Talk drop dimes. You guys are doing some really cool, fun things. So anything you want to plug, please go for it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, at Beta Bay Volleyball is the club. Our personal, my wife Ariel and I, you can find us on all the socials. Yeah, if you want to check out the Taylor Averill / Drop Dimes collaboration, that is up on the Drop Dimes website. Yeah, man, nothing to plug. Just wanted to spend some time with you at this early morning.
All right, I appreciate that, and I'm gonna put some pressure on this. I do want to plug. I do want to start making more merch. You Won't was like this brand I wanted to start, but now I'm kind of working on. I got like Tallest Podcast on Earth. We're making some really cool merch for that. I got the Middle Blocker Academy, same thing. Like, I'm working on so many, and I got a job, and I'm living in Poland. Like, there's so many things going on, but I do want to do something. I made crop tops. I want to see more youth kids in crop tops. I love them, dude. We're going to change the world together. It's a movement. I mean, look at the sweatshirt you got on. That thing is so sick, dude. Like, I love it, dude. It's my face on there, dude. And I think it looks pretty cool. So,
we're here. We're ready. We got we do have I think Dustin will be okay with this. We have a Dustin Watton collaboration coming out soon.
Sick.
Very we got some. We're pretty stoked on some of the stuff. Dustin's got some. He's got some great designs, so it should be a fun one that drops on Drop Time. So I'll let Dustin announce the official date and time. But
solid.
It's coming. It's in the pipeline. So
yeah, you guys are making fun stuff. Get your NFTs at dropdimes.co.
Yeah. The NFT shorts are, I think, completely sold out. But maybe we'll do another run in the summer of some different PFPs.
That would be sick. Well, dude, I love you so much. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, it was like 5 a.m. for you. You woke up with just this glorious face. I don't even know if you've had coffee or food yet. I don't even know what you got going on. You got 2 kids. You got an amazing wife. Like, you guys are killing it. So
thanks, Dad. It's great.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me on. Can't wait to see you keep crushing it. Keep going, my man.
We're gonna do our best, baby. Yeah. We're gonna do our best. All right, bro. I love you. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll talk soon. All right, brother.
See ya.